Hello everyone, my name is Brian and welcome back to another Mage Monday. And this Monday we're going to take a look at the latest edition as for mages, and that's Raijin. I haven't featured him on the channel yet. I do think he's very powerful, but he's not one of my favorite gods. He's very powerful, especially late game, and he is still quite squishy depending on the build you go for him. If you build him in any other mode than Arena, I do recommend getting a Warlock Sash online just for that additional health, because your escape isn't really reliable as such. I will get back to that later, but let's first start off with his passive. Above his portrait you can see 4 little drum symbols. For each auto attack you do, you will get a passive stack. Also your abilities will go on to passive stacks, but I'll get back to that for each ability. And when it's fully stacked, your next ability will deal an additional damage. It will deal 100% of your basic attack damage as additional damage. So it's an additional basic attack, kinda. So can be very powerful because you can get your passive up even without hitting anything. So you can always have it up, have that additional damage when you do an ability. So his first ability, you see me use it here. It is his main clear for a wave. You will throw out, you will shoot out 3 drums, and it passes through minions, but it stops at guards. You will fire out 1, then another 1, and the third hit you will fire 2 of your drums simultaneously, dealing twice the damage of a regular one. It's good for wave clear, good amount of damage. Your passive is stacked up by it and triggered by it as well. It will grant a total of 3 stacks on your passive, so it can be very powerful. One thing to note is when you cast it, you cannot cancel it by yourself. So you are stuck in the animation. You can't cancel it to try and use your escape earlier, because it just cannot cancel. That's something you really need to be careful for, because it can be very difficult to deal with. Beautiful Odin Cage. I go into my ultimate. I'll discuss what it does later, but we are able to pick up first blood, so very good start already. They dunk on me. Aegis is used. They are behind me a lot. Unfortunately enough, my team doesn't realize this and only Loki is there. It's a bit unfortunate. If they went and tried to defend me, they would have definitely gotten the Thor. And maybe as well the Ratatosker. But that's alright. So let's continue with the second ability. Second ability is called Raijin. He will throw out a debuff kinda on someone. Can be minion, can be guard. If it's on a guard, they are visible on the map for the duration of the debuff. And the debuff lasts from 4 to 10 seconds depending on the rank. It will trigger once it's on someone. It will trigger when you use an auto attack, and that means me and not anyone else on my team. I need to do an auto attack or an ability to trigger it. When I deal damage on someone or an auto attack, as you can see I deal an auto attack, it is triggered. What does it do when it's triggered? It will deal damage. It's kind of like a detonate when you used it. And it will bounce towards the 5 closest targets in a certain range. Kind of like a lightning bolt from Zeus. It will bounce between targets. It can't go to one target 2 times. So that's the main difference. And it is, well, you have to trigger it beforehand before it can do anything. It's a very powerful ability. I like to max it first, and that's just for the fact that it does a huge amount of damage, and it can hit multiple guards with the bounce. It can also hit the minions. And again, beautiful Odin Cage, catching 4 of them. Instant triple kill with the ultimate and my 2 Raiju combination. Beautiful Cage. Very well done. He didn't die in vain. We were able to pick up 4 of the enemies for his sacrifice. Raijin's third ability is his escape. It's a very interesting one. It has quite a long of a delay. That makes it a bit difficult sometimes because it can be interrupted. That's the main problem. As you can see, I use it here. And at the landing spot, you will mesmerize anyone in the radius. They will be massed and dealt damage to. The damage first, then the mass. And after a short charge up time, aka the delay, you will have the teleport towards that location. But there is one downside to it. When you go there, the mass is instantly removed, and because it has an well, like I said, it has such a delay, it can be very difficult to deal with. Something I wanted to try is if Raijin can bounce on the Skadi, her wolf, and it actually can. So that's pretty interesting. You can use it as well. You can also use it on one minion. For instance, if a big minion is alive, you can use it to deal the damage. I again go up in ultimate, able to pick up another kill. I should not have used my escape at that point. That was a bit unfortunate, as you can see. You can use it offensively. The mask can also be used to interrupt any casting ability, so I can interrupt Bakka's burp, as well as spin the wind from the Thor. Some abilities that you can just cancel out with the mass. It's a quick mass, so definitely usable in that way, but it is your only escape. So definitely not use it lightly. And like I said, with the delay, you're able to be stunned out of it quite a few times. Probably will happen this game as well, but it's not a very reliable escape in my opinion, and that's one of the downsides. It does do a lot of damage late game. It's even more powerful than some of the other mages' main damage abilities, so that makes things pretty interesting. And as you can see, going through the wall with my 2-3 combination, and the Thor was low instantly. We were able to pick up the Skadi in the Odin cage. So let's continue with his final ability, his ultimate. His ultimate is, well, you've seen me use it a few times already. It's a very powerful ability. You can deal a lot of damage with it. You will go into the air. You are CC immune in that stage. You move very slowly, so you're not going to be able to dodge things, actually. At least if they aim good enough. And here, a beautiful bait from the Ratatoskr. I tried to kill him off, but he had the healing acorn. I didn't expect the healing acorn coming out, and as you can see here, he has the healing acorn. I recognized it. Otherwise he would have been dead, guaranteed. But interesting part about Raijin is ultimate. You can fire 4 bolts, but you can fire different kind of bolts. When you're in your ultimate, you can choose between 1 to number 3, and that will toggle a kind of bolt he will fire with his ultimate. His first, and the one you've only seen me use at this point, is the bolt that has no CCs on it and just does the 100% damage on it. It's very powerful, does a lot of damage, but you can also use your 3 a lot more in that situation. And as you can see here, I used my escape, but it was too slow and they were already able to kill me off before I was able to get out. That's what I meant with an unreliable escape, as well as the Bakka's knock-up, very powerful. Belly flop, way too strong. But you can also choose your second or third button for while you are using your ultimate. When you use it, it will provide you a buff. Well, not a buff, but it will provide you with a CC on your ultimate, but at the cost of the damage. The damage is only 50% of the full damage on your ultimate. However, you will CC them, and there are 2 parts of CCs. On his 2, it's actually a taunt. The enemy will be taunted for 0.5 seconds, but that way you can guarantee other shots from your ultimate hitting. And your third part is a fear. So if you're against a hunter, I recommend using the fear. If you're against an assassin, I recommend using the taunt if you want to do any of those, because if you do a hunter and you taunt him, he will still be able to hit you, and if you use the fear, he won't be. He won't moving towards you, but an assassin will. But if he's at the longer range, it won't really help him as much. So it can be very powerful if you have an entire team grouped up. You can CC them in a good combination. If you swap out your 1 and your, for instance, your 2 or your 3 in your ultimate state, you can deal so much damage. And again, beautiful Odin cage. Ratatoska trapped, and you can see a huge amount of damage. I used my 3 as well to secure the kill. Odin dunk on me, and I'm able to use my Aegis in time. I tried to use my Raijin, but fortunately I missed. You can use a Raijin with an auto attack, even without any other abilities to deal the damage. Didn't really need to at this point, just checking if there are any buffs. Something I forgot to mention and what I wanted to tell you, but his first ability grants 3 stacks on your passive. His second ability grants 1 stack on your passive. His third ability, his escape, grants 2 stacks on his passive. 1 when you mess and deal damage to the area, and 1 when you land. So it can be 2 stacks. And on your ultimate on each shot, so your entire ultimate can stack up your passive nicely. And you can also stack up your passive with just auto attack in the air. So having your passive up is not difficult with Raijin, definitely not, but I do recommend doing it, especially late game. You have so much damage. And at this time I am able to use my escape just in time. Odin trapped the Thor. Thor goes into the sky, he's looking for me, and I chose the right way to go. Thor chose the wrong way. I'm able to get out. Fortunately enough, they were able to pick up my teammate Scotty. And a beautiful ultimate from Zanku, dealing a lot of damage, but my Raiju with an auto attack, my second ability with an auto attack, was able to pick him up almost instantly. Does a lot of damage at this point. I didn't really mention a build. I'm kind of still experimenting with him a lot. I haven't played him that much. I think this is actually the game I master him. I'm not entirely sure, so that means I didn't play him too much to begin with. And again, ultimate, dealing a lot of damage, 280 per shot. That's over 1000 damage with 1 ultimate. It is a quite slow moving projectile. It's a bit difficult to hit at longer ranges, but when someone's close or when they're grouped up, it's definitely not difficult to hit. So very powerful indeed. Thor wall barely missing me, otherwise he would have been able to stun me out of my 3, and then the Bacchus burp as well. Then I probably would have died, so I'm kind of lucky at that point. As you can see, a lot of damage bouncing through the enemies. My second ability dealing about 500 damage already. Just insane amount of damage. And they pumped a lot of damage in me, but I'm able to get away safely with my delayed escape. Thor in the air. Probably going to look for the Loki very low, is hiding behind the wall. Does look like he's able to pick up the Loki, and that's a bit unfortunate, but nothing I can do about it. Again, beautiful Odin cage, missing every single auto attack I can. And I finally hit it, it bounced towards the Ratatoska and he's picked up. I'm kind of still looking. You can use your 3 to interrupt someone. It does mass before you land, so it deals a lot of damage and it kind of interrupts them with anything. And as you can see, I used my 2, I used my 3. 3 interrupts, triggers the 2, finishes him off instantly. A lot of damage, and that all has to do with the build I have. I have shoes of the Magi for the additional power and the pen, very powerful on him. I went for Bancroft just for the good amount of power it provides, and then when I get lower, I will deal even more damage. Book of Thought for the mana. I had some mana issues at that point, and it does provide you a lot of power. At that point, I didn't really feel like getting any pen, and it wasn't really necessary. And as you can see, I used the mess to interrupt the Bacchus burp. I do want to defend this unit from coming through something in arena that can be very detrimental to your victory. What a Tutti, augmenting my power to the maximum, a lot of power on it. I didn't really need any penetration because they didn't have so many defenses. It is a good item to pick up, but at this point, that's why I picked up as 5th item. I figured that with the Rod of Tutti I had so much damage, and after that I could go for some penetration. At this point I only need 1 item. Well, I'm working on 1 item, the last one, and that is going to be a Cronus Pendant. That way I can use my abilities a bit more, because my 2 does have a bit of a long cooldown actually. I think it's about 15 or 16 seconds. It is a very powerful ability, so that kind of makes sense. 15 seconds, so 18 seconds actually. My escape has 15 seconds. So that's very long cooldown on my abilities. That's why I go for some cooldown reduction. But at this point I am quite fat. 14 and 4. A a lot of power on the Raijin. At this point I'm probably the most potent. I used my 2 on the Zonkui, beautiful Odin cage. I dealt a lot of damage. My ultimate does about... I think he'd be able to... Ah, that's unfortunate. To try to use my escape, wasn't able to. My Aegis came out a bit too late. Wasn't able to avoid a lot of the damage, and they were able to pick me up before I was able to get away with the dash. But like I was saying, my ult is doing a lot of damage at this point. I dealt about 480 per shot on the Zonkui. You didn't expect that much burst, and I kinda understand, because you don't see a lot of Raijins with this amount of burst. It is very risky build I have. As you can see, I only have about 2000 health, which is not an awful lot for level 20. God. So Warlock Sash is a good item to pick up, definitely. But in Arena I don't like stack items, probably have mentioned that a bit more. Giving the Shanga the sprint, trying to peel for him, dealing a good amount of damage, actually almost instantly killing him. And with my thorium able to pick him up. He went way too greedy, and or he did not expect so much burst coming out from me. My 2-1 combo does about, well, roughly 1000 damage on the Ratatosker, or even more. I don't know, it's just way too much at this point to ignore it. So much damage. He is late game oriented, and as you probably noticed, with the damage I'm able to deal, definitely makes sense. And with his ultimate, I actually didn't really use a taunt or a fear on my ultimate, but that's been the case because I had such a ultimate where dealing the amount of damage just did a lot more for me. And as you saw there, I was able to bounce from the big minion towards the Ratatosker, and he's very low already. He does have the healing acorn, but I don't think he'll be able to heal. And that's right, he's picked up by the Loki. Loki did die in return, but that's alright. I kinda was thinking if... nice, my Thor is able to pick up the Bacchus. I was thinking that Thor might go for me with his dunk, but he went for the Skadi, who was a bit overextended. And as you can see, a huge amount of damage. 500 plus damage on that ultimate, just insane. I wanted to kill off the Calder, that's what it's called, from the Skadi. She used her ultimate, so I had to back off. You can't really fight at that point. At that point I was really happy my escape was up, because my Aegis wasn't. Okay, a bit salty because he got called out. I didn't really have any time to say retreat, just for the fact that I got bursted fairly quickly and I really needed to get out ASAP. At this point, just putting down a ward. It does provide vision, so in that regard it is pretty decent. Thor in the air. I kind of back off, I don't want to get caught by him. We are very close to the end though. Only 10 points left to go. Nice combination, able to deny the entire Berserker barrage from the Thor with a Aegis. Might have been able to pick up beats, probably. It's about 50-50 if my beats would have been better than the sprint. Actually I think it would have been a lot better, because a lot of the CCs I can avoid, allowing me to guarantee my escape. And as you can see, I can just hard commit on the Bacchus. He was the final kill we needed to win this game, and we were able to pick him up quite easily. So what happened this game? I got fed quite early, and in the late game with a fully built Raijin, it's just insane how much damage you can put out. A few beautiful placed Odin rings were able to pick me up, and as you can see, mastery level 1. But a few beautiful Odin cages were able to allow me to pick up a lot of the enemy gods. And definitely a very strong play from the Odin. As you can see, 29 assists. Very well done indeed. A lot of power on my hand with the build I went for. And that's just because I didn't build as many magical defense items to begin with. The one that picked up the first magical defense item was Bacchus, and the others waited a bit too long with it. Or didn't even take any defense. Which kind of makes sense, but you really need to be careful, because you probably noticed it does a lot of damage. Over 500 per hit on your ultimate. That's an ultimate that does more than 2000 damage when every shot is fired in its one stage. You can also do it with the CC, but you kind of need your team to follow up on it, and you need to, well, it's only really necessary if you really want to lock them down, and that really wasn't an issue with the beautiful Odin cages. So I just went for the full burst, dealing as much damage as I could, and it kind of worked out very well, because I do have 18 kills, and we were able to pick up the victory quite easily, with over 90 difference, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, I hope you guys learned something, and as always, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.